And I fell madly, passionately, obsessively, insanely in love with these people. And they would rule my life.
What kind of girl do you think we are? I ain't no groupie. Don't call us groupies, that is going too far. What kind of girl? What kind of girl?
Hi, I'm Stephen Pierce.
It's a heavy metal band. If you don't have any groupies hanging around, then obviously you're not really making it. And so without that sort of foliage that the groupies provide for guys who wear lipstick and, you know, all the regalia, if the girls aren't there, then it spoils their act. They have to have those girls. So, you know, without those girls to act as certification as to how heavy and how wonderful they are, I think that the people in that particular form of entertainment owe the girls a big debt of thanks.
That's why some bands get in.
At concerts,
I always wanted to be a cheerleader or date the president of the Letterman's Club, but after the Beatles, I didn't care anymore. No.
It's obviously some kind of weakness in a girl who wants to be with a famous guy, because there's obviously some lack going on in themselves that they want to make up for it by being next to someone who has just got everything they really want themselves. I wanted to just smell them. I wanted to, when Jimmy would come off stage, he was dripping wet, Jimmy Page. He was dripping wet, and I wanted to peel the shirt off of his dripping wet body and just like press it against my cheek and hang it up, and with his velvet suit, and oh God, just the idea.
when you started meeting the music famous yourself
For the love of music, rock music, it generated up and down my spinal cord.
it was excitement.
Well, they do, but people will be people.
They all have reasons for doing what they do, even though other people might not understand it. They have a right to do it so long as it doesn't hurt anybody, and just that.
What kind of girl do you think we are?
Sex with these women, but that's it.
If you think about what kind of girls they are, what their motivations are, and whether or not you really want to have a conversation with them, for my taste, I think it's not something I like to participate in, because it's, you know, it's corny, it really is. It's not good sex, it's not real sex, it's stuff, you know. It takes the fun out of sex, because the girls aren't there to do sex, they're there to use sex to do something else.
I do not believe that.
Do now what I did then, because it's just too dangerous. It's life-threatening. It's sad.
Whoever you are going to have.
To marry one, of course, that was the goal. I didn't just go these guys to them. I wanted to have a relationship. I wanted to get some meaning out of it. I wanted to see what drew me to them.
But not every groupie wants
Fantasies that guys in bands have, many of them are really incredibly stupid, that they're not going to realize how stupid they are until years after they've gone through the experience. But they're not out there looking for the girl that they're going to marry. They're looking for a specimen.
And how did the women chasing after their men? Miss Pamela is a former top groupie. She wed rocker Michael DeBar 13 years ago.
I kind of like it when they approach him, because he's obviously not going to do anything in front of me anyway. So I feel I have priority in the room, so it's okay.
If it was something everybody, the hippie flower child movement, love-ins in the sheep meadows in New York City. It was wonderful.
Part of that fantasy, people were attempting to establish new rules and regulations for social conduct. They were experimenting with all different forms of behavior. And that was a contributing factor to having groupies come into existence.
Groupies from the 60s believe they had more access to bands, over and above just getting backstage to meet them.
They would all come to the Whiskey and hang out. You could always see them in the 60s. They would show up, and you could walk by them and just parade yourself and just be blatant and horny and sexy and adoring.
I think the days of the professional group